What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Born2BNerd podcast. If you're joining us for the first time, my name's Ethan.
My name is Lance.
And we're stoked to be back. It's been a minute. We've had a lot going on with life and traveling, and that's mainly what this episode's going to be about. In our previous episode, we had mentioned that we were going to Japan, and we didn't want to talk about it too much. And now we've gone to Japan, and we just want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun, and I really want to get into what was so special about that trip, because both of us had so many unbelievable experiences during it. That, I mean, things that I was hoping to kind of experience, but I didn't know when it was going to happen until some of the things that happened. And it was just like, I couldn't have even planned that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we're excited to talk to you guys about it. If it gets insufferable at one point or another, where we're just like, you guys have just drank the Kool-Aid, it's because it really is just a special place.
Yeah. That's
especially,
true.
if you're someone like you or me, who have had Japan on our bucket list of places to go since we were kids.
Yeah.
It really did just mean so much. And I think for me, like, we kind of talked about it a little bit, or a lot of bit. I was kind of worried about it in a way, because I was like, this is like kind of my pinnacle trip that I've had in my mind for a long time. And I was like, I'm really worried that one of two things is going to happen. One, I'm going to get over there and it's not going to live up to what my expectation of what I thought it would be, and that would really bum me out.
Yeah.
if that's the case. Or two, it's going to blow my expectations out of the water, and I'm not going to want to come back to the U.S.
Yeah.
And I think for both of us, that's kind of what happened.
Right.
As the trip went on, we were both kind of like, damn, like, this is going to come to an end and we're going to have to go back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we finally did. And
yeah.
I mean, it was rough for me the first couple, like 3-ish days, 4 days. I was in a pretty heavy depression. I didn't know that was like real, like the post Japan blues. I didn't know that was a actual thing. I mean, I guess it could be anywhere beautiful that you go to. But it hit so hard.
Yeah.
When I came back, and I know you felt it too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely something that I want to talk about when we're doing our like kind of final chapter in the discussion is how we feel now, and kind of like the post ideas, post kind of feelings. But as far as preparing, I told you that while we were getting ready, like I didn't really feel the excitement, even though like it's something I've always wanted to do, and something that I've tried to do repeatedly. I had the funds saved in 2019. I worked really hard. I kept putting money in savings because I was planning on going. I was doing my research on plane tickets and everything else. And then, we went into lockdown, and everything I saved went towards
surviving.
Paying the bills, buying my food, everything for the next year. So, and then, I just couldn't get those funds back. And then moving here, getting the new job and everything, just I told you, I was like, I don't want to really wait anymore. I just want to do it. But the excitement just didn't hit, which is so weird. And I was getting scared. I was like, it's been a turbulent few years. And so I was worried. I was like, what if I'm just broken and I don't feel excitement anymore, But I think it was just, it was a mixture of, I work a lot. And so it kind of, I go into that mindset constantly of work, and it's hard to pull like go to like the leisure mindset or the casual mindset or whatever.
Yeah.
But it also just the planning of the trip just didn't quite. It was just a little too surreal, maybe, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was like it didn't seem real. Like it was
Right.
like the more distance that was, because when we booked the trip, it was like 50 something. It was almost 2 months, right? I think we booked it in like late October, early
Mm-hmm.
November.
Yeah.
And at the time, like the amount of days it was going to be until the trip, like the days kept ticking down, but I never felt any anxiety about it. I never felt any sense of pressure about it whatsoever. And then for me, until literally like the week before we were supposed to leave, and I was thinking about planning or packing.
Yeah.
And I remember I called you, or we I think maybe we were booking our Airbnbs, is what it was.
Right.
And I was like, man, that feels really good, but I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I had kind of a crazy meltdown because I was trying to pack and I was just like, I
Yeah.
could not. I got crazy decision paralysis
Right.
where I was like, I don't know how many bags to take. I know I need this. I need this. Everyone's saying I shouldn't take this, but then some people are saying I should take this. And I'm like
Yeah.
watching all these YouTube videos and about like how to travel in it and everything. And I couldn't make a decision. And you were like, I think I'm just going to take my big bag and
I
I'm
was about
fine.
to say we definitely used different like opposite methods. We were on opposite ends of the spectrum there where I was like, you know,
I'm going
if
to
I'm
take
not
like a change of
yeah,
jeans
if I'm
and
missing something, I'll get it there. Like
yeah.
I'll figure it out as I go. And then we like it's funny because we get there like as soon as our trip started, you're everything that like we got came up to, you were prepared for. And the whole time I'm like, shit, I don't have this. I don't have this. I don't have this. So it's like you had the stress at the beginning and I had
Yeah.
the like the stress after. But
In the moment, yeah.
yeah, in the moment, exactly. So it's just funny. But I think I do want to talk about that as far as our what we wanted from the trip and what we did to like prepare for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I think the way you and I handled it uh, is a lot different from how a lot of tourists probably plan out a trip to Japan.
Hmm.
Um, where we talked about it and we could have like, we could have done some extensive research and bought tickets to this and tickets to
Right,
that
right.
and coordinated. Okay, so on the 6th we're gonna go here,
Yeah.
and then on the 7th we have to travel here because we're gonna do this on the 7th,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're gonna be then we're going to Kyoto, and then we need to make sure we have a whole day to do this. But then the
Mm-hmm.
next day is like we have free into the afternoon, but then we need to do this. And I didn't want to do that. And I think
Same.
you were kind of in the same boat
Yeah.
where we were like, look, we're at this stage where in our lives where another trip isn't out of the realm of possibilities.
No.
It's very much in the realm of possibilities. So this being something that we've been dreaming about for so long, and not just for this, like, what's the word for kind of having this like rose colored image of what Japan is.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think we handled it very realistically, whereas like I have been kind of immersing myself in the culture for years now, like multiple decades,
Hmm.
and I just wanted to be a part of it for a little while.
Right.
I didn't
Yeah.
want to glorify any specific like topic, or not topic, but any specific kind of theme of Japan, any specific kind of image of Japan. I just wanted to be there
Yeah.
and kind of explore and just kind of live a little bit more casually like there.
Mm-hmm.
um just to kind of absorb more of than just like treating it like visiting a theme park.
Totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were both on a very similar mindset of that. And my buddy Jeff went with us as well. And I think he was on a similar mindset as far as that goes of like we don't need to like book, like we don't need to plan out our day every single day. Like because then it's almost like a job. Like
Right.
we're just meeting deadlines all day, and I don't want to do that. I want to experience Japan for the most part in like the most natural way that you can, which is just stumbling around places that you don't know and experiencing something you've never experienced for the first time, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely on that boat too. Um, I think that you did a little bit more research on places of interest,
Yeah.
which I definitely, I probably should have done a little bit more of that. Um,
Yeah, I mean, when I started planning this specific trip like a year ago or more, basically, I started making on the maps that I shared with you guys of
mhm.
like however many stops all over Japan, not just in the prefectures we were going to go to, but even the ones outside of those. Um, and so I had all these stops of places that we could go, but even the places, the vast majority of them, they weren't like time specific. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we could, for the most part, it was like places that we could go on our own schedule. If we had to buy tickets, you could usually buy them on the day for whatever time slot you wanted,
Hmm.
or like a day in advance. You know what I mean?
Right.
For the most part. Unfortunately, we didn't get to do like that winter festival thing, which
Yeah.
was like beautiful, but we couldn't have done it.
Right.
It was a lottery system anyway, so we couldn't even get tickets to it.
Yeah.
But aside from the Pokemon event, the very first night when we landed in Shinjuku,
Hmm.
or we flew into Haneda and then stayed in Shinjuku the first night. And aside from that, like that was the only scheduled ticketed event other than the Daikoku thing that I did with Jeff. That was it for the
Yeah.
whole almost 2 weeks that we were there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, me and you talked about it towards the end of the trip. And this is another thing I want to save for the end, but we did talk about, how did we feel about that method,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really pleased with my experience there. I think what we did was, at night, kind of, I think we all did the same thing. And I, especially once I got there, things changed for me mentally. So after when we would get to the Airbnb in the night to kind of cap it off, I'd lay down and then I'd go through Google Maps and I'd just start kind of like looking around where we are,
Yeah.
seeing what looks interesting. And I think I was able to find, like all of us were able to find some things that aren't really on tourists' radar.
No, yeah. It wasn't
But ended
like
up being
things to
really
do in Japan.
awesome
Go to Mount
experiences.
Fuji, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, so I think our method was a cool choice for our first visit.
So our tour that we did is like called like like golden tour of what
Mm,
people call it of Japan, which is Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto. Those were the prefectures that we went. While we were in Osaka, we went to Nara. While we were in Kyoto, we went outside of Kyoto proper and all that. But those were the main prefectures that we went to, just to set the stage of like where we're going throughout this journey of this podcast and where we
yeah.
went on the journey in Japan. So what were you want to talk about, the flight or
We just
my flight was miserable.
yeah,
The flight over.
the flight to Japan to Haneda, it was my flight. I just want to talk real quick about my experience because
Okay.
my my experience in the flight was pretty chill for the majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
I took a couple of naps, I
Lucky
watched a
bastard.
couple of movies, and I was usually awake for the food, so I ate the food.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until that last hour or two, I don't
Yeah.
remember at which point it was, but it was morning, like it was the morning.
No, it
But
was
we had been,
afternoon.
it was,
It was
afternoon,
afternoon.
yeah, and we had that guy sitting between us that he was
Mm-hmm.
pretty chill. We kind of interacted with him throughout the trip, and the car came out. He's like, "Hey, you want to get a drink?" And I was like, that sounds fun. I will get a drink.
Yeah.
And so I got a little gin drink, and it was all right. I mean, I didn't really need it. It didn't do
Yeah.
anything. I didn't even get a buzz. Like it was just, just kind of taking advantage of the flight.
Mm-hmm.
And, but then, I just put my cup down. I had all the ice and stuff. I put it down. And then I don't know, like an hour later,
I forgot about
I don't remember what I was trying to do,
this.
but I tried to shift or I tried to move, and the cup fell over into my lap,
Oh
and
yeah.
all the ice had melted
Fucked your
because
whole day up.
it
Because it got all in like your socks and shit too, right?
I
Like
was
all in your
soaked.
pants. Because
Yeah, well,
we had our shoes off.
I had my coat and my hoodie in my lap because
Yeah.
I was shifting. So I had picked up my coat and stuff, and I put it in my lap. I think I was trying to get a charger or something out of my phone or out of my bag. I don't remember. But so it fell on my coat, my hoodie, down into my lap, soaked like straight to my seat, just soaked everything.
Yeah.
And it was the worst. We still had the flight to go to. We still had like an hour left on the flight. So I had to go to the bathroom, dry off the best I could. I was like taking wads of paper towels and just kind of like trying to wring out my clothes. And I didn't have a change of clothes because I had put my clothes
bag,
in the carry-on. So yeah, I had to sit in damp clothes, and then when we landed, basically we had to wait till we got to baggage claim, and then I could change. But man, that was just the worst. My anxiety went through the roof because the seat was so tight, and I had my bag at my feet, and
You're
I had
in the
my
window
coat on.
seat.
Yeah, I'm in the window seat, and I just got
Shit in the
so
corner.
claustrophobic and had an autistic meltdown because I'm like damp and wet and sticky. Oh my god, it was awful. It was awful. Such a I don't want to say bad start to the trip, but it was the worst way to land, like to step off the plane into Haneda,
Yeah.
like into Japan, and I'm just like miserable and angry.
Yeah. I mean, I think at least it kind of like got the worst part of it out of the way, like at the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
I will say, knowing what we know now, the next time that we go over there, I'm 100% going to book like a red eye and sleep the whole way. Because I mean, I told you when we were on the way, I was like, yeah, I doubt that I'll be able to sleep because I don't take naps anyway. I just can't. And especially during the day, like I cannot sleep during the day.
Yeah.
Or if I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so it was the middle of the day. We left at 9:30 in the morning, and
we like took off at 9:30. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like it was literally all day, and by the time we landed there, it was 2:30 or something the next day.
Yeah,
and so we get there, it's the middle of the day, and I'm just like by like the 12th hour, 11th hour on that flight, I was like, am I ever going to get off this fucking plane? Like it was so long, like to be awake the whole time. I was like, this is so long. On the way back, it wasn't bad at all because I slept. We left at like 8. And so like I slept from like 10 till like 4:30 in the morning or something like that. Yeah. Like it was fine. So next time, that's a little, for the noodle. Next time we do this, I'm 100% doing red eyes both times.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on, oh my God. I'm on board with that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready to start talking about the trip.
All right. Let's start with Shinjuku. Day 1.
Yeah. Day 1.
Day 1.
So once I got changed, right, I felt good. I was ready. I was like ready to go. Yeah. That excitement still hadn't quite hit me yet. We're just seeing the airport. We're navigating the airport. Like we didn't quite understand like how to do the customs thing to get through. Yeah. But it wasn't bad. Like
figure it out.
We immediately like the direction. I'll tell you what though, that was the only time that I got a little aggravated with Japanese customer service. The only time was when we're trying to get through customs
to get in,
and those ladies they put their arms out and like stop me, which is fine. It's okay. But then they're like trying to rush me with broken English, and I'm trying to understand what they're saying, but they're also rushing me as if like I need to move, and I'm like, I can't rush because I don't know what you're wanting from me.
You're talking about before baggage claim?
Before baggage claim, whenever we needed to show them, to show them
your pre-checked,
my pre-check stuff. Yeah. And I didn't know exactly what they were asking for, and the way they were kind of like pushing me a little, and like taking stuff out of my hands and then telling me what to do, even though that wasn't what I needed to do.
Yeah.
That was the only moment where Japanese customer service like got to me a little bit.
Mm.
But anyways, once we made it through, it was all smooth sailing through all of that for the most part. And then we go straight to the Airbnb, right? Or we
Yeah,
took
we
the
got the
bus.
bus.
Yeah.
And we went to the Airbnb. And then we fucked up on our tickets because I don't know what took so long. I know we
I mean,
waited,
it's just a process.
yeah, we waited and because the bus ride, that's what it was, because we couldn't take the metro in. The metro was delayed, so it was going to be like an hour and a half or something like that. It was like super delayed. So it was like, we're going to take the bus instead. But even the bus, because by the time we left
the traffic
airport,
was bad.
the traffic was bad.
That's right. It was bad.
So
yeah.
it took like an hour to get there from taking the bus too. So by the time we got to the Airbnb and downloaded everything, we had like legit 10 minutes to get to the thing. And it was like, we weren't going to make it at all, but we had the 2 tickets that I had accidentally bought before I knew that you couldn't, buy more, for the next time slot. So we were able, and that's when
you had tickets and I had tickets. Like you had bought tickets for us for one time slot, and I had bought tickets for the next time slot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we missed yours for all 3 of us. So it was just me and you that went. Jeff didn't go. And we got there. It was for 7:30, and we got there at 7:28.
And we remember we got lost, or not lost. The directions weren't bad.
The place. Yeah,
we were directions weren't good.
Okay, so all right, another tip. There's another tip for you while we're on it. Everywhere in Japan has multiple levels, whether it's up, whether it's down, and you're gonna go into a building, and you're gonna have to learn how to like just discern what level it's actually on. Sometimes it'll tell you on Google Maps. It might have told us. I don't know. I don't think it did though.
Was it even the same building though? It wasn't the building behind it.
It was a building behind it, but it was trying to take us there. But the entrance to get into that, you had to go in through where we got in, but there was no clear way to show you how to get there. And if we hadn't run into that, we were about to walk away. Like we were like, dude, we've missed the time.
Yeah.
I can't figure out where we're supposed to be right now. And luckily this tall, I think he was like Norwegian or something.
Yeah, he was like German or something.
With his daughter.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you know where the hell this is? Pokemon? And he was like, oh yeah, we saw something for Pokemon like back that way across the thing. And so then we were able to find it. And it was a dope ass exhibit. It was like a bunch of traditional or experimental ceramic art, all in the way of
sculptures and things like that
of Pokemon. It was really, really dope.
Yeah, it was probably one of the definitely one of the more. I mean, it was the most limited thing that we did, like limited time, limited run thing. But probably one of the more limited kind of exhibits or activities that we could do while we were there for sure.
I'll tell you too, like that was the nervous. Aside from like when we were trying to go. That was just kind of hectic when we were trying to go from Osaka to Kyoto and find the Shinkansens.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of hectic, but it was like whatever. This was the most like scared. I think this is the most scared I was because we literally just dropped off our bags and you were like, where are we going? And I was like, shit, I guess we're just going to go. And, I'm like, I didn't know how hard it would be to navigate the subway systems. And so that first night going through the subway systems, and luckily it was pretty easy. Like the first time, that was like the first like holy shit. And once we were in the subways, that's the first time that I really was like, holy fuck, like we're in Tokyo. We're in Shinjuku right now. This is fucking sick. So
that hit
that's
me.
Where we also, when we came back that night, that's where we got your dope album cover photo.
Yeah.
Coming back, insert here.
Yeah. Me and you were all kind of, cause we went to the oh my gosh, we got out of that art exhibit. I'm not going to lie.
We missed Tokyo Tower, or we missed the Sky Tower completely.
Tokyo Tower.
Trying to find the place.
Yeah. Sky Tree.
The Sky Tree.
Yeah. We're just walking through the city. You're taking some photos. And then I'm like, I think you were just like, oh, look.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, we missed it going in there. We came out of it. I missed it going across the street, and I literally picked my camera up to take just a picture of the 7-Eleven we were getting ready to go into. It was the first 7-Eleven we were going to, so I was stoked. and I should have been wearing my 7-Eleven cap right now. And I just went to take the picture, and I was like, "Oh,
It's
look at that!"
Yeah.
Oh man,
It's funny.
a bunch of dorks.
Yeah. But that was kind of like the moment where we got a little hyped about everything. Was where like kind of, I'm not, like I was saying, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of like, when we got to the exhibit, I'm like taking a picture of everything and I'm looking at everything and it's really cool. But then they were like, "Oh, we're closing at 8."
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to that gift shop. I wanted to go to that gift shop so bad. So I'm not gonna lie, I started kind of like trucking through that exhibit. I was like, nice, pretty. Let's go to that gift shop.
Yeah.
But and then me and you walked into that gift shop right before they were closing.
Oh,
they were like, "You gotta hurry."
They were like, it's closed. And we were like, shit.
Yeah.
And then we rounded the corner and the door was still open. And we were like, we should go in.
Yeah. We walked, we like jogged up to her, like, "Can we go in?" She's like, "Yeah, go. And then we just look and it's just like all this like exclusive, like souvenirs from the exhibit. Oh, and we just like, it was like picking apples, man. I'm just like filling my cart up.
And then the house lights came up and they're like, "You got to get out."
Very punctual. But I think like that was, going to the subway, I'm like all hyped from all the Pokemon goodies that I got and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the next morning we hit the Shinkansen.
Yeah, next morning we had a little stop at a cafe and then went over to the Shinkansen.
We went to Tully's, right? That was first night we went to Tully's. Or first morning.
Tully's?
Yeah, Tully's is like that chain cafe.
Oh, in the morning. Yeah. And then, but then we went to that little 2D cafe.
Wasn't in Shinjuku, right?
That was Shinjuku. That was the second morning.
Was it?
When it was rainy and cold and...
you got the pie or the cake?
Got the 2D cake, yeah.
That was a cute place.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I would say totally check it out if you want some like weird, very niche.
Yeah, and it was kind of quiet in there. Like it doesn't seem like a place that many people are aware of.
Yeah,
at least I don't think that one day that we were there.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think so either. Because when we were walking by, or when we were leaving, people would walk by and be like, "Oh, look at that!" Like people were literally just like on their daily commute. Like so, it might have been just new. Like it might have been a new place.
New. Yeah, it could have been new.
But so we got on the Shinkansen. Tip: if you don't speak Japanese and you're trying to do the Shinkansen, you can Braveheart the shit and try to go to the kiosk. We couldn't, or go to the actual machines and print out your tickets. We couldn't figure it out. It kept sending us to like use a Suica card or to use something else. Like we tried it, couldn't figure it out after like 2 tries, and we were like, "Fuck it, let's just find the kiosk." So if you've done it before,
help center,
just go to the help center. And
honestly, that's I want to talk about tips at the end, but just ask for help.
Always just ask for help.
Yeah, just go to someone who's like, go to an employee and use your Google Translate or something, but just ask for help. And every employee will offer help.
Totally.
Like Japanese people are so like helpful when you ask, so yeah, it's so easy just to like, "Hey, can we buy tickets here? What do we need to do? How do we get there?" And then they'll just be like, "Yeah, just right here. You just take these." So yeah, but that's the Shinkansen is where it happened for me. That little switch where I realized I was like, "Wow, I'm actually in Japan." Yeah, that trip was cool, man.
Yeah, the Shinkansen on the way there,
we went from Shinjuku. Was it Shinjuku Station that we hit that we got on?
It was Shinjuku or it was Tokyo Station. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, maybe it was just Tokyo Station. We took it all the way down to Osaka, right? That's Osaka. Where we started. So it's a 4.5 hour ride.
No, I think
3.5.
I think it was like 3.5.
3.5. Yeah, long trip, but man, that train was comfy.
It was comfy, and I tried to snooze, and I couldn't because I had. So this is where the jet lag was really setting in for me, and I've never experienced jet lag before, but holy shit! Because the night of, when we finally got to go to bed, I had been up for basically 24 hours, and I didn't sleep at all that night. I slept legit 2 hours, and I woke up and I was just up, couldn't fucking go to sleep. I tried to sleep on the thing, didn't happen. So but the next day, dude, I was zonked. When we got to Osaka that night, I mean, I was dead.
Yeah.
But it is it's the Shinkansen rides are wild in themselves because you
Yeah.
see so much of the country. Obviously, you see it really fast, but like you see so much of the country,
Man.
and it's
Yeah.
like you just see it start changing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? As you're going by,
As you're
and you're
going
like, oh
from
my
region to region,
god,
it was
yeah.
incredible. I think so. I will say I would have loved to have gotten a window seat for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the guy that I was sitting next to had the window seat, but he was just watching a Japanese TV series and
Yeah.
eating food the whole time. He wasn't even looking out the window. I was like, oh, come on. So I had to like look over his forehead, the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had my headset in, listening to J Rock and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it just hit me. We're just seeing all these houses in these villages in the mountains, and
Yeah.
it was just it was stunning.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
really dope.
yeah.
But then we got. What time did we even get? It was in the afternoon, I guess, when we got to
I mean, it was
Osaka.
early afternoon. We still had plenty day left when we
Yeah.
got there.
But we got to Osaka, and then we
Yeah.
started exploring Osaka.
Yeah, Osaka
And
was kind of like I feel like Osaka was the actual start of our trip
mm-hmm.
because when we got to Tokyo, it was kind of like you get some snacks, do the Pokemon exhibit, go to bed, get ready for the morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the start of our trip, and I think starting in Osaka was the absolute perfect choice because it was, I think, probably our favorite area.
I think it was overall it was my favorite part of the our favorite prefecture.
Yeah, I wouldn't say my favorite part because we'll get to that, but I think it was definitely the place where both you and I were like, I could live here.
I could totally live here.
Yeah,
Totally. Yeah.
Very so. Let's talk about Osaka.
Okay.
So first off the bat, pretty English accessible for the most part. I mean, you and I are we've gotten pretty comfortable in our Japanese when it comes to very light conversation or very light, just sentence structure with customer service or whatever. So I think whenever we use a little bit of Japanese vocabulary and they are able to use a little bit of English vocabulary, that bridge is a lot more. So I think we had a much easier time with communication in Osaka, and I thought that was really cool. And the architecture and the way that city is, what's the word? Not designed, not organized, but kind of,
like the way that it's cultivated, like the way that they took care to like buy every building that went up. They were like, well, this next one's gonna be like this because it complements this.
Yeah, every single alley, every single corner, every single street looked like something out of a movie.
Yeah,
I mean, everything was cinematic.
These crazy juxtapositions of these massive. That's what we were talking about. It was like you'd have these insane, little skyscrapers, towering over these little like 3-story, like little apartment type buildings.
Right.
That weren't the same style. I mean, nowhere, definitely not even the same century probably that were built there. And yet it all worked.
Oh, yeah.
And it made sense with these little bitty alleyways and stuff. And it made sense in a way that, like, we were talking like Atlanta doesn't. Like Atlanta, they just like throw something up over top of something else. And it's just like, oh, it's literally overtaking the space that was already there. Whereas this, it's like, these small structures are incorporated somehow into the geometry of these newer buildings.
Right.
And I don't know how they did it.
Yeah.
But they did it.
It definitely feels like an organized chaos at times, but in such a beautiful way. And I couldn't stop taking pictures of just buildings. Like I took so many pictures of just streets and buildings and stuff because the way they decorate the outside, like storefronts and stuff. And I thought it was so cool where it would be this corporate building next to this little, little shop that sells little pottery or like little ceramics or a cafe place next to like
A
a
shrine.
shrine, yeah, next to some residential area.
Yeah.
It was just, it's like the city was living together, you know? It's
Mm.
like everything was living together. It wasn't separated. And I don't know. I think waking up every morning in Osaka was so comfortable.
Yeah.
We were getting up at what, 7
Yeah.
a.m. every morning, basically, or were we leaving at
Like
around 7 or
leaving.
8?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then you get up and everyone. I always thought that was funny where you wake up, we step outside, we're all like happy and like we're ready to go hiking, go like exploring, and
Yeah.
everyone is just like in their coats and their
Business attire, just
briefcases,
walking to work.
walking to the train station.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfectly silent, no one's talking, everyone's just walking straight to the train station.
Crazy, yeah.
But it was cool. It felt like, I don't know, I get, there's um that's Japan culture work life thing where there's a lot of overworked employees and things, kind of like takes over their lives. But to see how everyone's on the same page, they're all they're waking up, they're getting their coffee, they're hitting the trains, it felt very like organized, and I was able to kind of follow the flow, I feel like, rather than like when you walk outside here, just no one's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
No one's on the same boat. No one's on the same page. Like,
it was wild, and this is going to come back at the end too, but do you remember hearing like people honk their horns?
No.
Like ever?
No.
The busiest, like the literal biggest city in the world.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
Even when we were in that kind of traffic jam at the beginning in Shinjuku, when we were taking the bus, and it was just like bumper to bumper traffic, I still didn't hear any traffic, or any horns.
So it was just really wild every morning to step out of that little alleyway and to just see the ocean of people calmly, but just like as they're trickling in, all going to the same MARTA station. It was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was a very surreal. I mean, everything was surreal because nothing was like done the same as here. The Airbnb was awesome. Like, we had that Airbnb that was in this weird, like this quiet alley that every time we went to one of our Airbnbs, we were like, this can't be right. Because we're so used to things being like here, everything has a huge parking lot. Everything has, street front or street view or whatever. But here, like in Japan, when we were in Osaka, we're going down this alley. We're passing a shrine. We're passing a izakaya, and then around the corner,
cutting salon. There was
hair salon, right? And it's all like, it's not like here, a hair salon is going to be on a street front.
Yeah,
you're not going to go down an alley and then turn a corner to behind a parking lot, and then there's it's not how it's done. But there, like, we were in a residential area, we're passing house, hair salon. Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
I mean, like, literally right across from the izakaya and the hair salon, that little old lady was like just sweeping her little front porch, as we walked around there. She sees us, she's like, oh.
Yeah, and a lot of those stores, they're like built with multiple stories, so there's apartments on top, so the store owners live above their store, which is like, I've always loved that idea. Yeah. But and then we have this little tucked in Airbnb, this little, like, almost like a micro home.
Yeah.
But it was super chill, super cool. It immediately felt comfortable. Like, I immediately felt like part of the city,
Yeah.
But that was really cool. And then, what was our focus in Osaka? We did some shrines. We went to the Big Buddha.
Yeah, it was to go to the
Osaka Palace or Osaka Castle.
Osaka Castle. And then we went to Nara while we were in Osaka.
That's right. We did. Nara was in Osaka.
That palace, that was insane.
Nara was in Kyoto, wasn't it?
No, Nara was in Osaka.
Was it?
We left Osaka for the day trip and half a day, whatever.
So
because then we came back and went to Dotonbori.
Right. Oh yeah. But Osaka is where we found your awesome cafe, right? The old man.
Oh my god, dude! That dude. I have a picture of right here where that was like we had talked about it where I was like, I just want y'all to know, like, and y'all,
That's where you
like,
got a little you got a little choked
yeah,
up.
I was like, you guys know me, and like, you've all seen me cry, so like, it's nothing new. But I was like, there's going to be a time, and I don't know when it's going to be, but it's going to be completely random. I know it,
Yeah.
and everything's going to hit me, and I'm going to start to cry.
Yeah.
And we were in that cafe, and the jazz was playing. It's early in the morning. It's just him in there.
Yeah.
We're doing the pour over coffee.
Right.
His little Snoopy figurines up on
Yeah.
the little shelf.
His little
And
handwritten menu.
like,
Yeah.
he's like handwriting out the orders as we take them.
Right.
He's making his little panini sandwiches or breakfast egg sandwiches.
Yeah.
Everything hit, man. And I pulled out my phone. I took a picture of myself, like, just misty eyed, about like to start crying.
Yeah.
As I wanted to remember that feeling, and it was just like, and it was so beautiful. And he was like, we went back to him the last day that we were in Osaka, but
Right.
like, you could tell, like, most everywhere we went, it was oishi desu, totemo oishi desu. But with him, like, do you remember when we told him, like, the Kenpeki
Yeah.
desu, and how, like, he was friendly the whole time, but his whole, like, demeanor and everything, just like, there's this thing in Japan where, like, they appreciate your appreciation for their craft.
Oh yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell it just means so much to them.
Right. His pride shot up whenever we really told him that this was like our favorite place in Osaka.
100%. And you could tell that it meant so much to him. This thing that he's like put his life into.
Yeah.
And that just meant, like, that whole interaction just meant so much.
Right.
And like that whole vibe, like, that was part of what made Osaka feel so special.
Yeah. I would, if I lived in that Airbnb that we're staying at, that would be my spot. Like,
totally.
Every morning, just go and get my breakfast, get my coffee.
Yeah.
Say hey to the locals,
Even like, like that, the other breakfast place we tried out that was like the more traditional, like, little breakfast diner, that one morning where we walk in and it was like full basically. And there was a table there. The guy was like reading his newspaper and the other guy was reading his newspaper. And there was a table for like all three of us where we could sit.
Oh yeah.
And we were like, all right, no worries. We'll just go find somewhere else. And as we're getting ready to walk out, he's like, no. He's like, you can, here, take my seat. And he just like gave up his table because he saw that we were through. And I was just like, oh my God, man. Like the courtesy that exists in that country. It's like, insane.
Right. Cause so we were, this was still, was that day one?
That was like, it wasn't the first day. It was, I want to say we had 2 more days. We had that full day and then 1 more day after that in Osaka, I believe.
Yeah, maybe it might have been. I couldn't remember if we went to the old guy day 1 or the old guy day 2. But we went there, and I'll be honest, there were still some moments where whenever we went into places that probably weren't as popular for tourists, that at the beginning of the trip, I was a little worried that they wouldn't want us, like there would be clear animosity,
Yeah, you hear stories.
Yeah, and so when we get there, and she immediately kind of like started to kind of like push us out, saying like, "Oh, we're full." Yeah. I was worried, I was like, "Ooh, is this kind of what people have talked about?" And then that guy who I want to get to it soon, but that older man with his newspaper, he was like, "Hey, y'all, I'm good to go. I don't need to stay anymore." Like he would have probably hung out there for another hour if we didn't come in, but instead he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna head out, and they can have my table."
Yeah,
and I just thought that was so sweet, and it I think that was the moment that kind of broke that fear in me or worry. I was like, I'm not gonna anticipate animosity,
right? Because that's only gonna self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. And I'm just animosity. I'm just gonna enjoy these moments, and I think we experienced the exact opposite, which is something that I do want to talk about. But I want to talk about Nara, because that was something that I feel like you and I completely disagreed with the stereotype or the general idea of Nara.
Yeah. So I've heard people say in different like YouTube circles or podcasts or whatever.
So
Um,
frequently.
yeah, like frequently of like places to skip when you go to Japan.
Yeah.
And Nara is like kind of frequently on that list.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's a tourist trap. It's it's out
If
of
you
the
want to go see the
way.
deer real quick, it's like, a quick stop and then you can go back or whatever.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
they're like, it's maybe like a morning thing you do and you'll never go back there.
Yeah.
Dude, we were there for like 6 hours
Yeah.
and we didn't see it all.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like we were kind of like, I wouldn't say we were speed running it, but we didn't really like, we didn't take it as slow as like other places because it was so big. And it was so nice. And like so I got my little stamp book. That was something that I was doing there. I was collecting stamps at different train stations, different temples. And on my stamp book on the page that I got for the Imperial Palace there, where all the huge Buddhas were,
Yeah.
like inside that temple, dude. I couldn't I couldn't like vocalize like exactly what I was feeling.
Right.
Seeing the scale of everything in that
The
temple.
largest Buddha or the largest statue I've ever seen.
Yeah. Like that was made in the 13th century, 14th century.
13th.
I mean,
I think it was 13, 14.
Long time ago. That's still there.
Yeah.
And so in my book, I'm just like doing my stamps and in my memos and my notes. I just wrote Majesty in that page because it was just like it was unreal.
Yeah.
It was something out of like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I remember when we were like walking up, when we had to go around and we had to walk up that long thing to get in there. And we were just like, could you imagine being like a farmer and being summoned to this palace for like your quarterly or yearly summons for your crop or whatever, and it like never been there before, and like you're greeted by all of this?
Yeah.
Like what do you do, man?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It was just so wild. And again, we didn't see all of it.
Right.
We saw a good bit of it, but like there was that whole back section that we didn't really even go through because it was getting late. And then we also couldn't see the pagoda because it was under construction, so that wasn't our fault.
Also, isn't Nara where we were finally able to find some Journey Together packs?
Yeah, at the at the 7-Eleven that we went into or whatever it was.
It was the Lawsons, right when we landed in Nara,
like right outside the station.
Yeah, we're like, y'all want to get a quick little bite, little snack? We go in there, and I'm like, oh, Journey Together.
Yeah,
and they were like, limit to 2. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, 2.
I was like,
give me 2.
Fair, I'll take it.
Yeah, that was awesome. Nara was great. The deer were crazy.
Like hilariously aggressive.
Yeah.
Like they want those little cracker cookies. That's all they want in life. It's wild.
I remember
they'll do their little bow, and if you don't give them their shit, they'll. The one was like eating my ass cheek.
Yeah,
trying to get into
biting at you.
Just like
they were pulling on my jacket, headbutting me.
Yeah,
I was. You get scared. Like that's why there was so many So there's like a lot of girls there trying to feed the deer, screaming and running away.
Yeah. Remember that kid who like screamed at one? He was like, ah!
Yeah.
And then the thing like comes towards me. It's like, ah! And it's like goes towards his parents.
Dude, I whenever I went out there with those cookies and there's like 5 deer crowding around me, headbutt me, I was like, they're going to kick my ass. Like they're gonna bully me,
dude, because and then like legit like 5 or 6 of them will come around you all at once, and then you can tell the really fat hefty ones who are like the big dogs, who will like bite the shit out of the other ones and like headbutt the other ones to get more, and then when they get over to you, they're doing the same shit to you.
I got pictures of you getting attacked. So funny. But yeah, it was cool the way like the deer wait at the cross sections for the light to change, and then they cross the street.
Oh
I thought that was
yeah,
really
it's
cool.
weird.
Yeah.
It's really strange how like they've been conditioned for hundreds of years with no natural predators, and so they're just like, yeah, fuck it, we'll go wherever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
We're fine.
Yeah, there's so many deer.
There are so many.
So many. I remember we saw that like the moving herd.
Yeah,
Of deer. I'll tell you, to be honest, that's my first time ever seeing a herd in real life.
That was wild. Yeah.
Yeah. Of anything, like any type of herd in real life, and seeing like, seeing like 50 to 70 deer kind of like jog across a little plain was crazy. But then that's whenever we got our first little pepper of snow.
It was like, the first flakes of the trip, the first little taste.
Yeah.
It was really sweet.
Yeah. And then
I remember that was like one of a really nice interaction too. That was where I got the picture of those two girls who were on the train when we were like going to Nara. And then like 6 hours later, we were coming back on another train, and they were on that same train we were on. And I was like, I don't think ever maliciously, obviously when I'm going up to talk to people, let alone women. So sometimes I just think I'm like, oh, this is like an innocent interaction. I don't think how they feel of like, here's this fucking guy coming up to me again, So I don't ever think about that. So while I was on that train, it was just those two girls, and I had that idea. I was getting in my head, and I was like, man, I don't want to be like a weird guy coming up to these two girls who are alone and be it like a weird situation. So I almost didn't go up to him, but I was like, man, this is a really sweet picture. And this is the picture. But the sunlight's hitting him from the back, and she's like asleep over on her friend's shoulder. And so I went over to talk to him, and I was like, hey, on the way here, I saw you guys. I snapped this picture because I really liked the framing. And I was wondering if you just wanted it, like I can airdrop it to you. And she was like, oh my God. She was like, we were literally just talking about how like we were doing this trip, but we don't have any pictures together, like at all. And like they were going home in like 2 days back to France or wherever the hell they were from. I can't remember. But it was it was such a sweet interaction. You know what I mean?
Right.
That I almost didn't take and pull the trigger on, but it was so sweet and it was so wholesome. So I like Nara will always have like this beautiful spot in my mind because of like all of that.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind exploring outside of that area in Nara and seeing what else it has to offer. Because
remember all the mountains as we were like going to and going from there. Like there was a lot of mountains around there that looked beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I'll tell you what. The one thing that I feel like you and I had that most tourists probably don't, that experience what they experience and say the things that they do about these places. You and I view things so, I don't know the word, but we like, we come from this artistic background. We talk a lot about movies and anime in a very artistic sense beyond just the story or beyond just what we're seeing on screen, but in these like very, from the eyes of the artist kind of thing. And so we're used to looking at things on a more detailed basis.
Yeah.
And I think that helped us on the trip as far as absorbing so much more and respecting so much more of what we were experiencing, because everywhere I went, I couldn't stop looking at everything around me.
Yeah.
And even little things. I was looking at stores, I was looking at trees, I was looking at how like the garden or the way like the signage was designed, how like advertisements were done. I'm watching how like people interact with each other as far as locals go. I was just absorbing everything, and it made me appreciate everywhere we visited on such a like deeper level than just visiting like a normal tourist would, I believe. And I think you were the same way, where we're just there and we're just watching everything, and we're just
trying to take it all in, like literally everything, trying to take everything in.
Yeah. And I think whenever you live like that, or, maybe not live like that, but being in Nara, I feel like we saw much more than what I think other people see. You know, when we were talking about how they would have lit up the temple, you know, it's
Oh
like, how would
yeah.
they have lit this up?
Yeah.
Where would they like? Where was the
Like,
maintenance
yeah.
access? Like, where were
Where were
they?
the perms?
Yeah, where were like? How were people getting up to the roof? Because there's clearly something up there. I
Yeah.
wonder how they were traveling up there. And so we were like, you know, way more involved, I think, in exploring our surroundings.
Yeah.
We went to Dotonbori. We went there twice, 2 days in a row, because it was such a huge area with so much to do.
Dude, if you're into photography at all, I mean, or if you just want to experience like a beautiful, like a really cool place, but if you're into photography at all, just go there and walk around with your camera, and you're just gonna be snapping like crazy. Like the place shoots itself. It's so beautiful in its weird, like almost Blade Runner-esque kind of way, like where you've got all these different signages, you've got all these different you know, storefronts all under these crazy canopies, you know, like the red canopies and everything, and these huge neon signs that are just like it's literally it's something that like, I mean, it's what Blade Runner was literally copying, you know, and they made that movie. So like you're going there and you're like, oh my god, this is crazy.
You would
so we
think
went there multiple nights. Yeah,
we did. Yeah, and you would think, like, talking about the way that these areas were designed, especially for someone like me, you would think it would be sensory overload.
I was worried. I was legitimately worried about that. But when we went, I was worried about that for you. I was like, I really hope that it's not. But I didn't know how you're going to be able to handle it.
Right. So. And it was the complete opposite. Like there was so much, but it was almost like therapeutic in a way. It was almost like a sensory, like, comfort blanket, you know? Like I'm just like, it's just every level there's different things to see. I'm just looking at everything, and you would think I would get overloaded, but I was in love with everything. I was just like, this is so cool, and I get to see more, and I get to see more.
Every corner you would turn around, it was like you think it would end, and it was like another extension of Dotonbori, and you're like, oh my god!
And nothing looked the same.
No,
you know, like the overall design is the same. The overall layout is, you know, it's that organized chaos. So everything has that organized chaos feel, but everything has its own unique character. So every alley, you're like, that I could take a picture of that alley and take a picture of this alley, and they both have something like to say for themselves. You know, it's like different. It's so cool, man. So cool. We went to American Village,
like cuisine around that area too. Like it was kind of crazy. I mean,
we stayed. We were. It was like where we were staying was kind of in this, like, that neighboring block was almost like an Italian, like lots of Italian food.
It's like
the pizza place,
ton of Italian food.
Very interesting.
But then, like, over in Dotonbori, it's like all of like the Japanese street food that you come to expect, but there's so much of it that you're like, oh, which one do I go to? And they're like all different like versions of what they're doing too.
It was almost like Dotonbori was almost like was it called Bourbon Street almost?
Kinda.
Yeah.
More tasteful. I will say Dotonbori was like the dirtiest place that I saw in Japan. But even that,
it was super in a really
dirty
cool
by
way.
Japan standards.
Yeah.
You know what
it was in a really cool way. Yeah.
Yeah. But
American Village was dope.
Yeah, everyone was super friendly there. If you're ever feeling like if you go to Japan and for whatever reason you're in Osaka and you don't feel welcome, like I doubt that you would in Osaka, but if you feel that like kind of outsider feeling, just look up on Google Maps American Village and go to American Village, and like they'll love you there.
Yeah,
like it's that place is a really welcoming part of Japan in Osaka.
Yeah, I got I'll share some of my photos throughout this podcast too, but that's where I took a picture on my phone of, we went to Free Market BB, which is a cool thrift store that is, I mean, it's packed from floor to ceiling with all kinds of artifacts.
I mean, so much stuff.
So much stuff. Lots of American culture, but it was one of the few flea markets or thrift stores that we went to that was a lot of Japanese stuff too.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool. And I got a really cute picture of one of the store employees surrounded by Godzilla merch and Godzilla stuff. It was really cool. I don't think you saw that picture, but I'll send it
The
to
one
you.
that the girl that was tatted up.
No. It was the guy with the long hair.
Oh, that's the guy that I was singing with.
No, you were seeing with that like shorter guy. Oh, he had long hair too.
Oh, he had
I'm
long
talking
hair
about the
too.
tall, skinny guy.
Oh,
I'll send
okay.
you the picture. You'll see it.
Okay.
That's a good photo. But that place was really cool. Those people are awesome. And then like they had that like New York style courtyard with like that like Brooklyn.
They straight up 100%. They were like, they looked up like a little like square in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And they were like, this is what we're doing here.
Yeah. It had like stickers on the railings.
It had random brick stairs, like American brick stairs, like going up. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah. You had a bunch of
everybody's wearing like 90s NASCAR jackets.
Right.
And like Carhartts and everything. Right. And I'm like, this is so wild.
Yeah, it was really cool. That place was cool. That's where you got to have your little jam session in the guitar shop.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I wish I could have done it longer or like with a different guitar, but the lady seemed like she was very rushed, and so I didn't want to ask her again.
Yeah,
to like could I use a different guitar?
Yeah, but yeah, that was cool. And we went to that cool camera place, and I got this awesome bag.
Oh, the steal! That's probably the steal of the trip, dude.
This is definitely the steal of the trip. So I'll tell the story about it too. So we go to this little camera shop. And that place was crazy. It was so each wall was lined with glass cases, cameras, lenses, and every
all around.
And then there's just piles
of stuff.
I mean, and when I say piles, I don't mean like the general piles. I mean a lot.
I mean like it were like literal like bins with stuff just thrown in it.
Bins,
with different types of camera, adapters or gear or bodies or whatever.
Probably a lot of trash, like as far as like camera trash, things that probably should be thrown away, but they're just like keeping everything.
Very Japanese hoarder.
Magazines, like all kinds of stuff just piled everywhere. And we're not seeing much that we can get or anything, but we're just taking a look. And then I turn around and I see that bag. I was like, oh, that's a cool bag. And I honestly started to I was trying to see if it's something that you would want, because I hadn't hit that like photography kind of obsession yet. Yeah. And I didn't see much of a use for a camera bag, but I thought it was cool. And I mentioned to you, you're like, oh yeah, that's nice. And I'm just like staring at it. I'm like, I really like this thing. It's like, it's a nice real leather bag. It's probably maybe $100, maybe $160. I mean, it's nice.
Yeah.
And I was like, but if it's like, if it's less than 100, I told you I wanted to get a bag while I was here, just like a nice Japanese bag.
Yeah.
And so, I asked the guy, I was like, how much is this? And he asked the owner, I guess, the older guy, and he was like, 3,000 yen. Yeah. And you and I both looked at each other like, I said, I'll take it. Yeah.
I still remember the look on like your face when it's weird, but just like, oh my God.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was hilarious because like the very next one that we went to too, the next store that was down the hall, where that guy was like a historian. He spoke really good English, and he had all those Leicas, and then like the the Nazi knockoff Leicas that were like the Russian made Leicas, but they had like Nazi insignias like stamped on into the actual
metal.
Yeah,
that guy was so cool.
That was crazy, and that guy was so nice.
Yeah,
and you could tell he just like wanted to talk about cameras and like, he was like a camera historian, but his shop was like totally different from that place. It was like a showroom of cameras.
It was like a showroom, and that's when we talked about it, where I said, man, that if someone just went in there with a camera and had that conversation recorded, it's almost like a documentary. Like, I mean, he was so well spoken. Everything he said was so interesting. Like, I wasn't like, I don't have any camera knowledge, so I didn't know anything about what he was saying. But at the same time, I just wanted to keep listening to him talk about it. And it was so cool. I think, and I told you, I was like, I don't know if he gets to do that very often, like that shop might have a couple people that come by every now and then, but it seems like he said that he hadn't gone to the States to buy cameras in like 20 years.
Yeah.
And so he's probably just been chilling with his what he has and selling a couple cameras every now and then, making enough to pay the rent.
Yeah, he said that he does a lot of online, like a lot of their business comes from online sales.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think he saw, especially like you there with this real interest in these products, in these cameras, these older cameras. And again, he had that really beautiful pride in what he does to like start sharing and
well, he also had like the honesty of everything too, right? Because like I'm looking at it and I'm like, I see that like the Nazi one, and I'm like, that's fucking crazy. I've never seen anything like that before. And I looked at the price, and the price was like not bad. And I'm like, I'm never going to use this, obviously. So it would be a wall thing, so that I'm not going to use it. But I was like, the price of this thing is crazy, like crazy low. So I asked him, and instead of like, you could, because I didn't know anything about it. So many shop owners, dude, would be like, "Oh yeah, I need to move stock, so it's a lower price." Da 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 da. And he immediately was like, "Oh yeah, no, it's because this isn't a real Leica. This is the Russian copy of the Leica." He was like, "You can even tell, like, pick it up." And I picked it up, and he's like, "All right, now pick up this one." He's like, "You can see these are the same model, but this is a real Leica, and this is the Russian copy. You see how different, how heavy they are, and like how different." I mean, like, walk through the whole thing, and I'm like, it was just such a rare interaction with like an honest, just good person and a good shop owner. It was so cool.
And it was, I think it's a big example of what we experienced countless times while we were there. These interactions that were just so cool, and so stuff that just does not happen here in the States.
No, not at all.
And it was, that was a really cool, it was a really cool day. That was an awesome day. And that's, as we were about to leave, we're trying to figure out what to do. And then the big snow starts falling.
Yeah.
And we're like, we're staying out for a minute. We're going to walk around a little bit longer. Like, this is awesome. Any like, as far as like, we had the cafe.
In Osaka, I did like, my one that I wanted there was the pancake, like the vegetable pancake thing that we got at that little izakaya that had the weird names. For all the food.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
So bad.
The online menu that was the worst translations.
Yeah. I literally we can't say what they were called, because it's all like, it'll immediately get taken down.
Yeah,
like,
it was
the names of these dishes. And
it was like translated by ChatGPT, but like,
it had to have been
mistranslated or something. It was awful.
like think like Sex on the Beach. But instead of being translated to Sex on the Beach, it was like a terrible version of what sex could be.
Yeah. And then a really confusing explanation of what a beach is.
Of like what a beach is. Oh yeah, because it would like describe more. It was so weird. Yeah. It was so strange.
Yeah. But that karage was delicious.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah. The not the onigiri. The octopus balls.
Okonomiyaki.
Anyways, it's the fried octopus balls.
Yeah, with like I'm blanking on the name.
The soft, which you didn't really like because of the texture thing, but I loved it.
No,
so
it's like, I didn't expect it. I thought it was going to be like a savory donut.
Yeah.
But it's only cooked like on the outside.
Yeah, and it's still soft. And it's
still nice kind of
old chunks of octopus in it.
Yeah, it's still kind of wet on the inside, and I didn't expect that. And yeah, it's a little the texture I couldn't really get through.
Yeah,
it was rough. There's a couple moments, because I tried them a couple times, and there was one moment where like I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish chewing this. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything that really stood out apart from the cafe, that old man's cafe with his paninis that were delicious.
Egg sandwiches, dude.
Yeah.
I'll never look at egg sandwiches the same. I mean, I love egg sandwiches. I eat them all the time, but I will never look at them the same after Japan. Like, they are able to do them in such a way that's like, it's that wasabi mayonnaise, dude. That wasabi mayonnaise is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool, man. It was cool. Osaka was great. I could talk for hours about Osaka. We have plenty of photos.
The name of that restaurant. These are the stickers that he gave us
Oh yeah.
when we left, when we came back for the second time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the name of the restaurant was I literally named it my favorite coffee shop in Japan. You can't see it. Damn it.
Yeah.
Kisa Samiji. So sick.
Yeah.
Such a good place.
Yeah. We can definitely put maybe we should do some like Google links.
Oh yeah, that would be fun.
In the description.
Yeah.
For anything that we really want to share,
Yeah.
Free Market BB and Kisa Samichi.
So you want to move on to Kyoto?
Yeah, so we're at an hour 13 minutes. Is this gonna have to be a two-parter?
I don't know, maybe. We'll see. I don't know. So onward to Kyoto.
Yeah.
5 days in, right? We left on the 6th.
Osaka, our experience in Osaka felt like it was taking it felt very extensive. And I was like, man, I love how it feels like we've been here for a while, and it's like that we still have so much trip left. And then like Kyoto, I think Kyoto was like that like middle of the trip that kind of like shifted that speed. But
let's talk about the initial feelings of
Kyoto. So we landed in Kyoto Station and did we immediately start? We went to the Airbnb. Mm-hmm. And what was our Airbnb in Kyoto? It was like a little
that was the
suburban house.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. And it was cool. It was nice. It was kind of like 90s vibe.
That really cold hallway.
Yeah, cold hallway. But it was cool. Yeah, I mean all the Airbnbs are really chill.
Yeah. Immediately noticed the difference in like the subway system there. Like it seems like buses are more used in that area.
Yes,
where we were.
We did. Yeah, we did use way more buses in our area.
I keep calling it the Myrtle Beach area of Kyoto. And it was a cool area. It was just very crowded.
Very crowded, very commercial.
And so much tourism there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem, because the first day that we were there, we noticed there was a vibe difference, like very different than Osaka.
Right.
And as the day kind of progressed, like, cause I don't know, Osaka was just so nice. And then you could feel it like kind of like a brick wall. And you could tell that a lot of people that were locals like did not want us there. But I don't attribute that to racism. I think that's literally, that place has so much tourism and over tourism that they just can't stand tourists anymore.
Yeah, it's just we're just easy to be pointed out as tourists than other.
But and like
demographics.
we were trying to be very conscientious of how we were behaving and culture behaviors and everything like that we're trying not to cross. And other people weren't, though. I mean, I remember those Australian bros who were just like eating McDonald's, just walking around like a Big Mac slopping out of their mouth on the street, and like that's a no-no in Japan. And it just being super loud, you know what I mean? And I mean, like, you get that every single day there. So I kind of get it, So the first day, immediately, like, the vibe was a little off because of that. And then the next day was when we went to the bamboo forest.
Yeah. So,
did
we do Inari Temple the same day as the bamboo forest, or was that the next day?
That was the next day.
Okay. So we did the bamboo forest. And then there was the gardens afterwards, right? Oh no, we got to go back. We got to go back to Osaka.
Pokemon Center?
No.
What?
The old man on the bicycle.
Old man on the bicycle?
In the plum garden.
Oh, in the plum garden.
Yeah.
Dude, talking about wholesome reactions.
Dude, okay, so we're in Osaka. We had just done the Osaka Castle, which you got to visit Osaka Castle, but it also isn't like, apart from the exterior, the interior
it's a
is just a museum.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool. I enjoyed it. But that's not really what the real draw is, you know?
Yeah.
It's the architecture of the castle that you're seeing from the outside, and then seeing like how much, when you're walking through the museum, you're seeing how ancient
Yeah.
this history goes.
And also all of the outside walls and the interior walls that it takes to just get to the castle itself.
Right.
And there's temples on the outside as well. And you're like, this is wild. Like, this must have been, I mean, this is why it was like the place. It's like, this thing was like impregnable to an extent.
Yeah.
Like, so anyway.
Yeah. So it was a cool place. We're probably gonna have to do a part 2 of this. But we decided to visit the plum gardens. You know, nothing's growing because it was February. But you know, we thought we'd visit it, and we go there. We're taking pictures. There's a couple trees that are starting to blossom. Yeah. And we were walking through, and I remember we were taking a picture of that gutter that had like really green like just really green plant life growing
gutter,
out of
but it had like some type of
fern or something.
Growing inside the gutter.
Yeah.
It looked really cool.
I don't know. It's just something we took in, and this old man on a bicycle and like a big camera like rides by, and he's like looking, he's like, what do y'all see? Thinking we're like capturing some gold. We're like, oh, we're just taking a picture of a gutter. But then he was just so sweet, like talking to us. He like gave me the pamphlet of all the different species of plum blossoms that grow there, that they have like all labeled. And he was explaining that different blossoms bloom at different times of the year. And
he had a chart. He had a whole chart.
He had a chart,
breaking down where each blossom, when it blossomed, where it was in the garden, and everything.
And what was funny is that he didn't speak any English.
Oh, no. Yeah. No,
we were only using context clues on kind of like where he's pointing, and on occasion
Google Translate.
You were using Google Translate to see if you could like try to get him to like talk into it and stuff. But everything, it was still like a beautiful experience and beautiful interaction he was talking about you know, how like this is what he does. Like he loves taking pictures of flowers and stuff, and he gave us a couple copies of a photo.
He's like, he shows us then. So after showing us the map of his chart and all that, he takes out another book, and it's an entire photo book of pictures that he's taken, photos that he's taken of every flower in that garden over the years and when they bloomed. And he's like showing us. We're like, oh, so good. And then he's like, basically is like, you like this one? I was like, yeah, I really like that one. And he just takes the picture out and just hands it to us.
Yeah.
And he hands us each a picture of like that we like in his photo album. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, it was so sweet.
Yeah.
And like an exchange of just like time and an exchange of like passions. You know what I mean? It was so cool.
I remember feeling whenever we were like, all right, well, thank you so much. Have a good day. And we were like leaving, I was like, does he want us to stay and talk more? I can't tell, because he kind of just stood there and he's like looking at us, and I was like, maybe he wanted to talk more, but we got to get going. Like we got to we're on a trip. We got to keep exploring. Yeah. But I just thought that was so sweet. And I think talking about the dynamics between Osaka and Kyoto, in that like what I experienced, what I realized is the elderly of Japan, from our experience there, were the most kind, sweetest people we had the most interactions with the elderly. Like the most conversations we had were with the elderly. The most like kind, sweet moments were with the elderly.
Which is not what I expected. I expected them to they would be very closed off and the most harsh of if we had an interaction like that. And that just wasn't the case.
It wasn't. And then, you know, in Kyoto, it was that like boomer age, that, you know, mid 40s to mid 50s area that it seemed like we had the most
resistance.
Yeah.
Hostility.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure.
I remember that one lady when we were on the bus, dude, and
Yeah.
she was like if I'm looking at her profile and she's doing this number, she's literally just, and I mean like death glares, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, what?
Yeah. I remember we went to that round 1 in Kyoto, and we were trying to remember how to say the number 7. And we were like, shichi, which is 7 and something. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
It's 7 somewhere.
It's a way to say 7, yeah.
Somewhere. I don't know the use for it, but I've taken Duolingo. They say shichi. And there's that girl in the elevator with us, and you're like, is 7 shichi? She's like, nah.
Oh yeah.
She's like, I was like, she
not in
like
the mood.
You. I was like, she didn't like you. You're like, I didn't want you to bring that up. Yeah.
But so that was day 1 of Kyoto.
Yeah. And then we did a bamboo forest.
A little day 2. Yeah. So the day 2, we went to the bamboo forest, which is very different because it was like a 45-minute drive outside of Kyoto, and the actual area is a very small town. It's very rural, and that was like a pretty big, especially as we were leaving, like there were a lot of tourists there, but it seemed like it was definitely still less people than that main strip, but the whole vibe was like what I expected out of like a rural countryside Japan, like very sweet, unassuming, and like kind of like honestly like kind of welcoming. Like they were, I never experienced any hostility there. I remember like the matcha place where we got the little matchas, and then like the little train ladies who were the little train officers there was like so nice.
Yeah, and I think it was really early on in that second day that you and I were like, okay, this is what we were.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so maybe I was wrong about Kyoto. And then when we went to the Ava statue. I guess on the way back from that, because that's where we were getting our taxi. We got lost trying to go to a drugstore or something. And Jeff had an interaction because he was walking up ahead. He had an interaction with a little lady, another little old lady who like literally took his phone from him and was like showing him where he needed to go.
Oh, she just like took him, didn't she? He like
she literally walked him there. Yeah, that's right.
That happens a lot.
And it was like, this is like a night and day experience of day 1 and day 2.
The same happened to you whenever you were trying to find the stamp book. That employee just like, she was like, just follow me, and like took you right to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah. That's like I love that they do that. Yeah. That happens a lot where they're just like, I don't know how to explain it to you. Just follow me and I'll take you right to it. You know?
Yeah. Like it's not an inconvenience.
No.
To go out of like to take a part of my day and show you something.
Right.
You know, like it's again very un-American.
So, we did what I liked on the bamboo forest. We did the bamboo forest, which was cool, but it's only bamboo.
Yeah.
It's only bamboo, which is, you don't see stuff like that.
It is really cool. And like, as the sun's coming through it, it looks really, really dope.
Right.
It's really, really photogenic.
Yeah. And but then at the end, it comes around and it opens up to the gardens, and we did the garden walk, which is by the river.
Yeah.
And that river with those boats and stuff was so beautiful. That's where y'all sat one way, and I was like, I just kind of want to go off on my own for a second. So I just kind of walked off, and the sun was coming down. So it was nice and toasty right there. And it was, it was cold. So that sun was like nice and warm. Yeah. And I remember going over on my own, and it was that couple. It was that Asian girl and that British guy that we kept running into everywhere we went.
Okay.
That couple, they were like young and really sweet, really kind. But they asked me to take their picture for them, and I took some pictures of them, and then we just kept running into them everywhere we went.
Oh, the tall guy.
Yeah, tall guy.
Yeah.
Both very, very cute, very pretty couple. But it was funny. But I went off. I took a picture for them, and then I sat and I took a bunch of photos of that boat that I saw, and I just sat there in that sun for a minute. That was really nice. Just kind of like soaking it in, Yeah. That was really cool. And
then the next day was the Thousand Torii Gate Temple.
Yeah, but so we went to the Evangelion Museum, which is weird. Like that whole place was odd. It
It
was
was
not at all what
weird
I was expecting.
because the Ava thing wasn't its own thing. Like the Gundam land
Right.
or the Gundam statue that we went to when we went back to Tokyo,
Mm-hmm.
that's its own thing.
Yeah.
Like it's you know
The
what I mean?
Gundam
Like
base.
it's in a mall, but it's outside of a mall, but it's its own. You can tell it's its own attraction.
Yeah.
The Ava thing was inside.
Well, Japan History Museum or Japan History
No,
Theme
no,
Park or
it's
something.
like was it Toyo or Tomei? It was a big Japanese production company.
Yeah.
And they own it's like a Universal's theme park
Yeah.
basically, but of a Japanese brand,
Yeah.
and it's inside that.
Mm-hmm.
It was strange. Like
Yeah. It
getting there
was,
was weird. Like you had to
yeah.
go around this whole
Around
thing
the whole park. Yeah.
and then go through the park to get to it.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird.
Yeah. It was weird. And I think it was funny because the whole theme park was odd. Like it's built kind of like a studio, with like these little buildings look that make it look like Edo period.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like ninjas over here. Then you look over and there's like a pond with the dinosaur coming out of it. You're like, oh,
Yeah. And
that's
like,
weird.
what? And then across the way, you see this huge Ava.
Yeah, and
You
this
see the
Ava
Ava
statue.
1, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Really strange.
And then so we did the Ava thing, which was cool.
It was cool. I was
Yeah.
a little underwhelmed. I mean, I was happy about it, but
Right.
it did start to snow though while we
That's
were
what I was about
there.
to say.
That's when I was like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, that's when the Kyoto snow. So we got the Ava in the snow, which added another element of coolness.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, we're supposed to, I was like, so we might get a little snow between this time and this time at tomorrow. So I think it would be cool to do Inari Temple tomorrow and get a little bit of the snow. Yeah. And then we wake up and it's just like,
I mean,
so
it was
much
like
snow.
5 inches.
Yeah.
It was so much snow.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. And it just kept snowing like the whole, it was crazy.
Yeah. We saw the forecast and it was like 7 to 8, you'll get some snow. Yeah. And it snowed the entire time we were in Kyoto from the moment we visited the Ava to the time we left.
Well, the only time that it quit, remember, was like while we were on the mountain, it quit for a few hours, but the wind was blowing so much that when the sun came out, the snow was falling from all the trees. Right. So it was still like it was snowing on us. It was crazy.
Yeah. So the Inari Temple trip day, I think it's definitely my biggest moment.
Impactful moment. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that day is probably going to be one of my strongest core memories for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts off, the entrance is extremely populated.
Yeah.
So we had so many people there, even in the snow, even with like that.
In like not peak season.
Right.
Like we're talking the beginning of February. So not
February
season. Heavy
snow, freezing cold temperatures, and it's still packed,
Packed.
We had our umbrellas. This is when I finally figured out how to use the camera properly. And so that photography hobby interest was coming back and I was really like interested in it. So I wanted to keep the camera safe so I could keep taking pictures. And we start walking through. The entrance is super populated, but you got the torii gates, and that's something that I've always wanted to experience. So even with the amount of people there, it was still special. It was amazing. It was still like I was still on cloud 9 being there. And then you get to the point, you go up the entrance, and this was my friend went there right after we left, and he did not have the same experience for the most part. Until like he said it was similar, but it was way more packed for them.
Oh, okay.
But you go up the main entrance, this like path staircase of torii gates, and then it splits off into 2 torii gate paths. Mm-hmm. One to go, it says enter this way, exit this way,
Yeah. And so I thought that was it.
Yeah.
Because that's all I've ever,
Yeah, I thought you just go straight up and then you're there at the temple.
And then you're there and that's it. Yeah. And I've also heard that they're like, you can skip, like it's a big tourist attraction. Yeah. You could go one time and then be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so continue.
I think, so we at that spot where like you have the main access opens up and then you have these lines of torii gates that are smaller and they're way packed together. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to go on the right side up to the temple and then come back down, you know. But there was, you know, like a hiking trail off to the right there. And I remember Jeff came down and he's like, yeah, man, it's just hiking up all the way up the mountain.
Oh yeah.
And you and I were like,
yeah,
that sounds awesome.
No plans today.
Yeah. So we start hiking up it, and
that's where I ate shit too. Remember? As soon as we got on that trail, I mean, I fell straight on my fucking face.
Yeah, you did. That's right. Yeah. It was its own little bamboo forest. As soon as we took that right, just a little bamboo forest, and it was. I will show some pictures here because it was absolutely beautiful. The snow, the trail, and then these little pockets of shrines everywhere.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like you go like another 1,000 feet or so, and it'd be another shrine, and you take a little path down that shrine.
Yeah.
And it was like, remember the ladies that were singing?
Yeah, I was gonna tell that story because that was my breaking point in the trip. Because me and you were exploring every little nook and cranny of that mountain. Every time the path split off, we're like, okay, let's go down this all right, now let's turn back and keep going.
Into trails that dead ending and not trails.
Yeah.
In the middle of the forest. Yeah.
Yeah. So we go up and then you reach a split off where there's like a bathroom and a waterfall.
Yeah, yeah.
And some kind of
found
building.
The temple cat.
Yeah. You want to tell your story about the temple cat?
Oh yeah, so we're splitting off trying to find this waterfall, and I had to pee so bad, and I finally found a sign for restrooms on this mountain, and so I was like, I'm gonna go to the restroom, and I'm walking, and by this little shack, there's this cat, and I bent down to pick it up or to pet it, and it was really really friendly, and so I bent down like kneeling on one knee, and the cat hopped up on my knee, and I was like, oh, what's up? And then it hopped up from my knee to my shoulder. And just hung out around my shoulders. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm just going to walk, I guess. Because I had my puffer, my down jacket on. I was like, I don't want this thing to like tear it apart while I'm trying to get him off. I was like, I'm just going to let him get off whenever he wants to. And so I'm just walking down the trail with this fucking temple cat on my shoulders. And these Australian bros came by and they're like, get a fucking look at that. And I was like, you got to take a picture of this for me, dude, because no one's going to believe this shit. So there's the temple cat right there.
Yeah.
That was like a wild experience. Like I felt like I had like a little Tory guardian over me for like the rest of that trip, dude.
Yeah, that was awesome. So yeah, that happened, and then you and I. That's when you and I met back up because we kind of separated to kind of take things at our own pace, and then we start hiking up the way, and it splits off again. So you got this like that. It keeps going up, and then it goes down, and it looked like the down spot was like a little pit stop, you know, and that's where we went down, and those stairs were slippery, but we got down there, and it was those ladies that me and you both kind of stopped in our tracks, and it's just it's a shrine and a group of older ladies reciting
singing,
sutras, and praying at this shrine, and it was just
it was that Walter Mitty moment. You know, the sometimes I my favorite moments, I don't even take the picture.
Right.
Those are just for me. Like that's what that was.
Yeah. Yeah. We like just kind of stood there for a moment. That will forever
like be in like burned into my memory.
Right.
Of like those ladies singing their sutras in the snow.
Right.
With the graves and the Tories all around it. Like getting like chills thinking about it.
Yeah. It was amazing. And so we sat there for a minute, but I didn't want to impose. So we kind of moved on, you know? And so we start heading back up the mountain, and then it like curves. It has this big curve. And this is where I took so many pictures, and I want to show a couple of them here. Cause it was, bro, it hit me. We're like, it comes around and it's like a bridge, or this like, not a bridge, but like a fenced cliff. And you look down, it's just like a sea of shrines. And there's these like little candle boxes with like lit candles here and there. and then all the shrines are like covered in like a blanket of snow. Then you got these big torii gates up on the hill, and then the sun's hitting the torii gates, and then the shrines all like dark from the shadows, and you got these like candles lit. It was
unreal.
I was like, this is not real. Like, this is a dream. It was so incredible.
I'm telling you, it was so trippy when it quit snowing and the sun was shining through the trees and the tories, but it was still snowing from the trees and the snow was still falling down through the sun. That was the trippiest shit.
Yeah.
Like it was
so magical.
It was like a movie. It was insane.
Yeah. So magical. And then on the left side, I didn't take that many pictures of it. I don't know why. I think I was just like in shock of what I was seeing. But there on the side, there was this like tree that was like twisted. It was like a twisted tree, like a coiled up tree that went up, and it was like blocked off with like these like talismans. It was wild. And then we go around that corner, and it was just another pocket of shrines. And I'm up there. The snow started falling again right there. And so I have my umbrella out and I'm taking photos. And man, the energy that I felt there, it just like swept through me, and I just started sobbing. You were like off, taking pictures and stuff, and I'm just like sobbing. I'm like, I can't stop crying. It was like a wave like blew through me like a ghost or something. And it just like it welled up those emotions, and I couldn't stop, man. It was so beautiful, so magical, But yeah, it was just like that all the way to the top, just like pockets of shrines. Just beautiful, like hiking trails. Me and you went that spot that like led to nowhere.
The bamboo forest?
Yeah, remember we're going on this trail.
The trail just ends.
It's like fallen bamboo, and so we're like climbing under it, stepping through it. And
there's like footsteps. Like it's not just a trail I'm following. Like I can see like a set of footsteps where I'm like, all right, well, someone went through here.
Yeah.
Like literally just recently because it's in the snow. And so I'm following them. And then all of a sudden there's just no more footsteps.
Me and you were looking, I'm like, is it that? Do we go up there? No.
I was like, maybe what the fuck is going on? And then I noticed that the guy, whoever it was that had did the exact same thing. He was like, this is not a trail anymore. And then just turned around and came back.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to see the waterfall. But
no, we couldn't find it.
No, we couldn't find it. The path that said where it was supposed to go was no path.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But and then we went up to the peak. We made it to the peak. That was a climb, dude.
Dude, those stairs that were doubling back, just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
That was some.
Yeah.
That was some trick because we were like kind of huffing it too up those stairs.
We were, yeah.
By the time I got to the top, I was like, dog, I'm in pretty good shape. Like, that was a lot.
Yeah, for sure. It was, I got pictures of it, and I have so many pictures from that area, that mountain.
I remember I think they were Brazilian. They were speaking Portuguese and they looked Brazilian. The man and the wife, or I don't know if they're man and wife, but the couple. And she was like, she stopped at one of the quarters and she was like, da, 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 da. And you could tell they were just like, this is not what we were planning. They were wearing like their Gucci jackets and their Gucci leggings and boots and buckles and shit. And, it was just like, it was not what they intended at all. It was pretty funny. I'm in like this, like we're both in like the same coats we've been wearing for the past however many days, you know? Man, it was good. It was so good.
Yeah, we made it to the top. We went into one of those little shops and bought some postcards.
Saw more temple cats.
More temple cats, yeah. And then we saw that the top of the mountain is just that you can just see all of Kyoto, just all of Kyoto. It's just stunning scenery that I didn't expect to see. Like you just I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know what I was going to see when I was here,
I had no idea either. I think my thought or my understanding of that temple was that it was just like a temple like anywhere else. I had no idea that it ran the whole mountain.
Yeah.
Like that was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
That temple.
I know the warmer it gets, or in the peak tourist season, that place is just, I can only imagine. Like, I'm sure there's way more people hiking the mountain. Because when you and I stepped off that path and started hiking, there was almost no one there with us.
Nobody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we did the majority of the time that we went to see all these side shrines, and they weren't on the main path.
Right.
The main path is like it's Torii Gate. It's where you're lying. And on the way back, that's what we saw.
Right.
But I think most of the people who go to that shrine never see that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I really don't.
I don't know if it's the same whenever it's warmer. People might be more energized to do some hiking, but yeah, I can only imagine how busy it gets. But if you
remember when we got there, it was like 9 a.m. Mm-hmm. It was pretty early,
mm-hmm.
and it was still like packed up at the beginning.
Yeah,
first little big Torii Gate that was there, but then once we got past that, it was fine.
Yeah,
until when we came back down the mountain, it was like almost 2, I think, and then it was just like boom, like the amount of people that there was crazy, like what I expected it to look like, honestly. And that was in the middle of February, early part of February. So I can only imagine what it would have been literally 3 weeks later in the middle of Sakura season.
Yeah.
Or a little bit later in April.
Yeah. I still, I can't help but to still recommend visiting. Those high tourist seasons, like, I'm sure it'll be tough, but you got to see it, and especially like just hike the trails, hike the mountain, go like get off the main path and just go hiking.
Yeah. And then while we were, I don't know if it was that night or if it was the night before, we went to a live house.
That was the night after, or the night
of.
That was the night before, after Ava. We did that because we met up with my friend Akari.
That was the first night we were there.
We did that the first night?
Yeah, we met with Akari the first night.
Did we do the Ava the first night?
That was the second day.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But one of those days, it was snowing.
Yeah. Then I guess it was first night.
No, because the first night was when we went to that temple that was north of like the Myrtle Beach thing, and then we just stayed around that little overhang area where that's where we had the ramen. Remember, where the guy was a DJ?
Oh yeah,
yeah. We walked in that place and like J. Cole was playing.
Yeah. And so it was night 2 because it was after Ava, and we were like, oh, it's in the same spot. It's just right around that.
Okay. Yeah. So it was like, okay, so night 2 then.
Maybe. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Well, we went to this live house and saw this dope. It was one performer, and then he was like this blues musician, and then the next performer was this guy who was just crazy, like Oba, or what's his name? Oda Nobunaga, like the guy who tried to take over Japan in like the Edo period. Anyway, like what I imagined him to be was this guy. Like he crazy hair. I mean, I got this one picture of both after they both did their sets. They both came up and did a set together. And I got this picture of this girl who was sitting in front of us, and the whole time she was just kind of head banging and like kind of sitting down, of course, but like doing her little thing. And I got this picture where she's just like, yeah. And as both of them, like the one dude's doing like this like Aerosmith kick with his guitar in his hand, and the other guy's just jamming. I'll put it up, but it was dope, man. It was like exactly what I wanted out of a live house performance.
Yeah. That guy's Japanese cover of Hallelujah. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. It was good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But then we had the curry place.
Yes.
Oh,
the best Japanese curry that I've had since visiting LA. Just absolute, like, incredible food. And that place was so cool too, because she
was so sweet.
Yeah, very sweet. She was like wearing a beret. Mm-hmm. There was like a dream catcher on the wall, a picture of a naked lady playing like salsa music.
Salsa music playing. There was a couple of like you'd see in like a Mexican restaurant with like the Colombian scenes from the 60s with like the old cars and like people walking the streets. There was like those kind of pictures on the wall. It was just it was everywhere. It was so wild, like this melting pot of a restaurant.
Right.
And like this little lady was so sweet. And it was cheap as shit too. I have a picture, I think, on my phone still of the bill that night. I think it was like 3,000 yen for all of us. And we had so much food.
Right.
But yeah, and then it was just snowing and we were just walking around and it was just magical. It was so nice.
I know. Yeah, that place is cool. That's where we got the t-shirts for that. I thought I was going to wear it. But I couldn't find it. I like
cute because I was going to wear mine too. And I decided not to. But yeah, it was so dope. I channeled my inner Saul Liker that night. That was like where I felt the most Saul Liker flowing through me like all night. There because the windows were all fogged up from the bus and like the snow was falling and like that was where I got that picture of the guy in the cab where he's like filling out his form, his daily form or whatever he was doing. Oh man, it was so sick. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. What was that area called? I don't know what that area was called in
Yotobashi line was
maybe.
Or no, it was hold on. I'll tell you. Right
that
now.
Was a nice little area though. That was where we went to round 1 again. Oh, Kawaramachi?
Kawaramachi.
Yeah, Kawaramachi.
Kawaramachi.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really nice. It was really cool. It was a cool area.
Yeah, man. We had some really cool, unique experiences in Kyoto that made it stand out along with Osaka, you know, apart from like how we expected it to be whenever we first landed in Kyoto.
Yeah.
Kyoto Pokemon Center was great.
I liked it better than Osaka's.
Yeah. Osaka's was very commercial feeling and Kyoto had all the exclusives, like lots of Kyoto exclusives, like the matcha plushies, the
Pikachu with the kimono and all that stuff.
I bought one of those.
The bookmarks. I don't know if
the bookmarks. I have those right here.
Scented.
Yeah. Like these. Yeah, they're still scented. Yeah, and that was cool. So we met up with Akari and she walked around the Pokemon Center with us and then went to lunch with us. And that was that's exactly what I hoped for as far as like, I mean, I was excited. I was happy to see her, obviously, but it was cool having a Japanese friend that you can explore with because she helped us see things that we totally would have missed and helped us find answers that we never would have gotten, you know?
And even in like when we went to the camera shop, remember to get it because your strap kept on messing up. And we went to the camera shop to like either get a new strap or figure out what was going on. And she was able to just talk to the guy and he just basically reconfigured your strap, right?
Right.
As opposed to like selling you another one.
Yeah.
Which you were thinking about doing.
Right. Well, it was cool because, you know, you saw those bookmarks and you're like, oh, those bookmarks look cool. And she's like, looked at, she's like, I think those are like, you can smell them.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, what? And we smell it. It's like, oh, it's scented.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was so cool because, like, we can't read. So
no, and we didn't know those were exclusive. We didn't know that those were Kyoto exclusive ones.
Yeah. She was like, if it has the blue, it means it's exclusive.
Yeah.
Limited. And that was really cool. And so we got, like, you know, we were able to get some information that we wouldn't have had otherwise. So I was really like, happy about that. And what else did we do that day? That was our McDonald's day, Japanese McDonald's.
Oh yeah,
man, I miss those black pepper soy sauce chicken nuggets.
Those were good
with the garlic barbecue sauce. It was so good.
What did I get? Good. I got the shrimp burger.
Yeah,
and I wanted to get every time we passed a freaking McDonald's. it wasn't until we were leaving the McDonald's that I was like, "Go! I meant to get a mango smoothie." God.
Oh yeah.
The mango smoothie looked really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I never got it though. It was a bummer. But the chicken burger was good. Or not chicken burger, shrimp burger.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. McDonald's was good.
Hmm?
I picked out, man. I got a bunch of stuff. I wanted to try all the special items, you know.
Yeah.
And we went to round 1 in Osaka, but then we went again in Kyoto. I want to talk about round 1, and I think that could probably round us off.
I think we only have 2 hours, so we'll have to talk about it fast.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
well, we found that
time runs out. That's all.
We went to round 1 in Osaka because we had a little bit more time. We're like, what do we do? So we just went to. I was like, have you ever been to round 1? We can try that. And so we went to round 1. We went to the arcade area, and you and I found the Gundam. I forget what it's called. Gundam.
I have the cards right here.
This Gundam arcade that uses trading cards.
It doesn't say the name.
It starts with an A. It's like, I don't remember. I have pictures of it. But it's
Arsenal Base.
Arsenal Base. That's
Arsenal
it. That's
Base.
it. Yeah. So it's only in Japan right now. They haven't imported them into the States yet. But it's like a arcade that we fell in love with, where whenever you play, you're given a trading card with a character. Huh?
They know their audience.
What? They know their audience. Yeah. And then you place them on this board. You can have 5 pilots and 5 Gundams or mechas. I don't know if they're not all Gundams, but 5 mechas that they all pilot. And then it's like a MOBA, you know, and you fight or whatever. And then once you finish, you can buy more cards, you know. And then people were leaving, like other players were like leaving trading cards. So we were just going ham, like finding all these trading cards and collecting the ones that we wanted. But we fell in love with that. We went to round 1, 3 times while we were in Japan.
Yeah.
To play that game.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. You got the claw machine at the round 1.
Oh yeah. I got the where is she? She's like right there. Up there.
Oh yeah.
I can't really see her, but yeah, like literally the first one I was like, oh, let's try it out.
Yeah.
Bubame, let's go.
100 yen.
100 yen. Put it in, and it just grabbed it and put it in, and I was like, oh my God. And then I never played again.
Yeah.
Because I knew I'd never hit another one.
Yeah. But yeah, Kyoto was great. I was like, we had a great time in Kyoto, man. It was great. Just as much fun as we had in Osaka, but a completely different vibe.
In a different way. Yeah.
Yeah. But, next time we'll talk about our final 4 days or 3 days in Tokyo, which I'm sure you'll have some time. You'll have some stuff to talk about with Daikoku. Yeah, and I'll talk about, or we'll talk about Akihabara and all of that, and then we'll do like final kind of like a lot
thoughts
of what we learned and stuff. Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, hope you enjoyed. We had some pictures. If you're listening, if you want to see some photos, I think we're going to also try to clip and put some clips on TikTok, and we'll show some photos shorts there too. Yeah. I think that'll help. But you took 4,000 photos. I took over 5,000 photos. Yeah, 5,000. And I took 3,000. So we have lots of photos to showcase. We'll try to pick some to put on there. And but you can find our socials in the description. I'm streaming. I might stream tomorrow night. So I stream, every couple of weeks or so. Whenever I'm off work. You have a channel called
Throttle Fox Moto Photo,
yeah. Showcasing your motorcycle travels.
I just put up a new video today as of the day that we're recording this. So if you want to head over there and look up some moto vlog stuff to some cafes and some photography in there, head on over.
Yeah. All socials, Instagram, TikTok, all that is in the link tree. And yeah, we'll be back for part 2 coming very soon. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Bye.
Bye.